Ready to go?
Yes, we are good to go.
All right, we're live. Great. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Norwalk Public Schools Facilities Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 27th, and the time is 6:07 p.m. I am joined this evening by fellow board members, Colin Hostin and Ashley Gulias. We also have Dan Phillips, who is part of our facilities team. He will be joining us in a few minutes to present on some school updates. Before we get to that, I wanted to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our last two meetings. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our November 29th, 2023 and February 28th, 2024 Board of Ed Facilities meetings?
So moved.
Seconded by, approved by Ashley. Thank you both. Now we will move into public comments. Roland, do you see anybody in the Zoom for this meeting? I don't think there's anybody here. And I also did not receive any public comments in email, so I don't think we have anything to submit in for public comments this evening. We are going to skip over the project updates on Norwalk High School and P-TECH and Sono schools until Mr. Phillips can join us. So I will jump to the review and possible actions. Tonight we have three different actions: the review and approval of educational specifications concerning the asbestos abatement project at Fox Run Elementary School, the review and approval of educational specifications concerning the removal of the underground oil storage tank at Brookside Elementary School, and the review and approval of educational specifications concerning the removal of the underground oil storage tank and boiler igniter conversion of oil to gas at Tracy Elementary School. So hopefully everybody has had an opportunity to review these three documents. I know we don't have Mr. Hodel here or anybody who's able to speak to the specifics of these proposals, but they did look very standard to me and similar to things that we've seen. And as we know, they are part of our programs to remove asbestos and also our underground oil tanks. So do I have a motion to approve these three actions?
I'll make that motion.
Great, thank you, Colin. Seconded by Ashley. Thank you both. Great, so these are all three approved.
One thing I think, Karen, we should just say for the record, because it does come up with these ongoing programs, for folks who are concerned, is that all the asbestos remediation work is done, of course, when the buildings are not occupied.
Vacant.
And we have done, I think, about a half a dozen of these oil tank removals so far, and so this is the next two in that program, so it's not anything brand new.
Right, great. Thanks, Colin, for those reminders. So I know that we're waiting for Mr. Phillips to join us for some project updates. As we know, we have some exciting dates on our calendars at this point. So the groundbreaking for the new Norwalk High P-TECH school will be held on Monday, April 1st at 10:30 a.m., I believe. So we will have Senator Duff and other dignitaries. I think, did I hear that is the governor coming to this? Do we know who's on this guest list?
That's the rumor I heard.
I believe he's supposed to be coming.
Wow, that's exciting. So yes, that one's at 10:30 a.m. at Norwalk High School, and that is open to the public. And then the Sono School groundbreaking will be on Monday, April 8th at 11:30 a.m. And the address for that is 1 Meadow Street Extension. So that's the location of the new Sono School. I'm not sure exactly who will be attending that one, but that will also be a very exciting event for that community. So that's open to the public as well. Anything to add, Ashley and Colin, about these exciting projects? I don't know if you guys have driven by Norwalk High recently, but things are happening there. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to get some updates to understand kind of like what the pace and the flow is here. I know that the students are no longer able to park at Norwalk High, and so are parking over at Andrews Field. And there will be some new traffic patterns starting on Monday. Norwalk Police will be there to assist in that. So things are really starting to move at Norwalk High School, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I was gonna say the groundbreaking is really the groundbreaking ceremony because work has already begun.
Mhm.
And I was fortunate since I'm new to the board and new to the facilities committee, over the last month, Sandra Fayoes gave me a tour of
Oh, you
both.
did get the tour?
I've seen both the
Good.
South Norwalk site and the Norwalk High P-Tech site. So
Oh, great.
feel
Yeah.
much more up to speed, and now I have a much better
Good.
picture in my head as we're talking about both
Right.
projects.
Yeah.
Into both sites.
Yeah, and especially the Sono site. Last summer, we got a tour of that location. Obviously, that was before your time, Ashley. It's an interesting, you know, position, right, with the different levels and layers. And I don't know if you got to do the full walking tour to go up to the higher elevation, where they're going to have fields and outdoor aspects of the campus. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, we didn't walk all the way up the hill, but we
Okay.
stood, looked, and I got to see all the drawings. So very
Yeah,
excited.
that's great. All right, I see Mr. Phillips has joined us. Thank you, Dan.
All right, sorry about that delay.
No worries.
But let
We
me
got
share.
through our business items, so we're all good.
All right, let me share my screen and show you some photos of the progress.
Great.
All right, can you see my screen all right?
Yes.
All right, so a quick update. We'll start with the Cranberry Elementary School. As you already know, that school was turned over for occupancy of August 2023. And most recently, they did install the sod for the new fields. And then over the April break, they will be completing some miscellaneous repairs and completing the punch list items for that project. And just a couple photos of the newly installed sod. This is the baseball, softball diamond in the field. And then we have just another angle of that sod. And I'm not sure the exact requirements, but I'm sure there's going to be a period of time that we stay off of this so it establishes, and then it should be open, I would assume, by I don't know if that's summer or fall of this year. So assuming next year they'll have full use of this field. And then we'll move down to South Norwalk Elementary School. Just a quick update before we get into some site photos. The construction manager mobilized to the site, and late February, they began demolition and abatement activities. That continued through March, where they removed a couple of the newer metal shed buildings, as well as other debris and items that were left from the previous tenants. There are 2 brick buildings, as you'll see in the photos. Those buildings required a longer timeline due to their age. They were historical buildings, so that took a little longer before we had approval to demolish. That was all accounted for in the schedule. They're outside of the kind of building footprint area, more in the parking lot. So you'll see in the photos when we get there that those are still there and they'll be removed in the coming weeks. The site contractor's on site as well. After the demo contractor, they removed the asphalt from the site. There were notifications that have gone out to the neighboring properties for blasting. There is rock at the back of that property where the building footprint is. So those notifications have gone out. They're just waiting to pick up that permit when they're ready to begin that work. They have coordinated that with the fire marshal and the town as required, and like they've done on some other projects recently in Norwalk. And I know we were just talking about the groundbreaking. Sorry, I didn't chime in as I was trying to get set up here. The groundbreaking was just confirmed this morning for South Norwalk for April 8th. says haste because I copied and pasted it, but at 11:30 a.m. And that will follow 1 week after the Norwalk High School groundbreaking that we'll talk about in a moment. And now the exciting part that I wanted to share with you is we have the site demolition. So I don't know how familiar you are with this site, but there was one large metal shed here, another shed a little closer in the foreground, and off to our right, which I'll show you in a minute, is the kind of where the building will be placed. Since this photo was taken, the Hatch and Bailey office building has been demolished. And like I said, these existing, there's another smaller brick building in the front, but this brick building, those are the next in line to be demolished. We'll go down here a little bit. This is kind of looking back up the hill. Here is sort of the rock outcropping that's at the corner of our building footprint that's going to be over in this area. And then over to the left here would have been that deeper metal shed building that they had on site. Here's a photo of the Hatch and Bailey office building that used to be right as you enter the site on the left. So that has been demolished. They're in the process of sorting the material. You can see that there's steel off to the side for recycling, and then the rest of the building debris is getting cleaned up now. And the plan right now, as we were talking about that groundbreaking ceremony, a lot of this debris will be completely cleaned up and off the site by the time we have that event. This slab should be removed, and this will be kind of backfilled and graded. And then I think this is the last photo we have. Here they've started to kind of prepare for the building footprint area. This was that rock outcropping again, which needs to be blasted, but they've pulled back all of the soil, identifying how much rock will need to be removed. And that's something that we're tracking to confirm the quantity of rock removal as part of the project. And by kind of prepping this area, we're able to start laying out and begin our cut and fill operations, where we'll excavate for the foundations of the building, and that material will be placed lower on the site because we are building up the parking lot quite a bit. And this area comes down a little bit to provide some balance in the cut fill on the site. And that's really what we have for South Norwalk. Any questions? There's no
Dan,
question.
just out of curiosity, for the rock blasting, you said notices went out to some of the neighboring properties. What does the notice say? Like, what is the extent of the rock blasting, and is it, is it like, is it during the day? What times?
It's during. They typically do it during normal working hours. There are, from what I understand, and I wasn't intimately involved in the permitting process for this, but talking to the construction manager who is managing it, the residences were within, I think it's 750 feet of the blasting site, and that warrants a notification. And I may be off, but I believe if it's within 500 feet, at that point, it triggers a inspection and survey of their property to see the existing conditions prior to the blasting, and then it would require vibration monitoring as well. And that is done on site as well as in the direction of their home, at their home. But my high level understanding from speaking to the construction manager is it is a large site, so we are a good distance from these residences, and it's more a notification so that they're aware of the blasting. It's not so close that we're concerned with vibrations or potential damage. So that's what I gathered from the whole blasting for this project.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And just a quick follow-up question. Do we know about how long the blasting will be going on, like a couple weeks or a month or more, or do they not know?
I don't have that information, but it isn't a lot of blasting. It's really this outcropping here to make
Mhm.
way for the building, the corner of the building, my estimate would be about 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
There will be some rock crushing and some other activities that do create noise on site after that, but I would think in about a month we'll be back in the ground digging, and the rock should be behind us.
Thank you.
And if there's no other questions for South Norwalk, I'll jump right into the high school project. So over at the high school, the construction manager and their site contractor mobilized in early March. And I'm sure driving through Norwalk, it's hard to miss. They've taken over that softball field. They've stripped the topsoil so that can be stockpiled for future use. And then they began installing the site fencing around that area. And what that does, it does a couple things, and we'll look at it in these photos. That establishes some construction staging area for materials and equipment, as well as the contractor parking and the construction manager's trailers for the project. That next to that contractor parking, there's an extended parking area that is currently just stone, but in the coming weeks that will be paved, and that will be the additional staff parking required throughout the construction process. So that'll be there for about 3 years. So that's why they made the decision to pave it. And I think they believe that adds about 40 parking spots that are necessary to support the staff. We talked about it. I heard you talking about it briefly before. Start in early April, April 1st, April 2nd, there will be a transition for the flow of traffic through the site. They will be taking from the island in that parking lot back to the Testa football field, will become part of the construction site. There'll be a fence that goes right down the middle of that island. And they also grab that parking lot at the very end. It's kind of a loop. So there will be some changes on site. There have been many meetings with the administration, as well as police department and the other security personnel at the school, understanding the best way to manage that process with the change in the traffic. And we've all come to an agreement on how that's going to work. There's been logistics plans shared. And I believe that notice has gone out to parents and students so that they're all in the know. In late March, contractor moved up, actually in the last couple of days, they moved up onto the Testa field, and they're beginning to do some light demolition. And right now they are digging some test pits in order to classify the soils that will need to be removed from the site. And that's a requirement for any facility that's receiving soils. We need to do a number of tests, classify it, and share that reporting with them before it can be exported. So in the next week, we'll start to see them stripping off the turf, beginning to remove all of the fencing within that area, obviously the site fencing around the perimeter. And then part of the construction plan is to create an access for construction only from King Street, which they've located in a way to minimize the impact on the existing trees over there. I know some trees will be removed, but there's been quite a bit of effort to find the most efficient way to get that through there and not take out any of the mature trees. So we'll look at a couple of photos. This is looking down at the softball field. This is the topsoil pushed up against. This is kind of the end of that existing hill that was over. This is just for some orientation, Strawberry Hill. It's kind of that P-Tech parking area where we're looking from. So they built up this hill with the topsoil that they will reuse on site. The trailer for the construction manager's been delivered. This area has a different material, which will be utilized for the contractor parking. And this area over here will be staging for materials, equipment throughout construction, because we are pretty tight up on the top of the site. This is off of the parking lot on County. You can see that they took out the curb, they've extended this area. They will be, they're in the process of striping it. So beginning next week, staff can begin parking down in this area. And this is kind of the overflow parking to provide enough parking spots throughout construction. This will be paved. The complication was the asphalt plants don't open until the weather is warm and stays warm. So as soon as that happens in the next couple of weeks here, this will be paved and be the temporary parking for the next couple of years.
Dan, I have a question about that view right there. So I think that if you scroll up back to that other one, over to the left is the building itself, and that is the entrance into the kitchen and the cafeteria. And I think that's where like food service goes in with food
Yep.
deliveries. So how is that being impacted with this?
So we've had Bill Hodel has brought that up as a concern in some of our planning meetings, and we do. You can kind of see here. This will be the access to our contractor parking through this area.
Mhm.
We were able to move the existing dumpsters to the other side. That loading area, that door, and providing access for larger trucks to back up won't be impacted. It is out of the way. We do understand there may be a rare case that someone pulls out and they need to move, but it's our logistics plan does
Okay,
keep them so that they can
Allow
function
for-
independently.
easy deliveries or relatively, because I know that that's like a key access point
Yep, and
for food
that's
service.
the construction manager is aware of that, and the way that it doesn't show the full picture here, but it's tight, but
Okay,
there's no reason that anyone entering or exiting our site would block that entrance for a truck to back up to.
okay, thank you.
And then we get up to Testa Field. Here's the two gates opening up to the site. We've got a loader moving around. They've pulled off a lot of the asphalt surrounding the site. Some of you can see the fencing has been removed. They're just getting started on the demolition. Just to the left here, there were dumpsters for the items that are being removed. And then the next photo, I believe, shows us kind of just digging test pits. The environmental consultants there taking samples, and that's just like I said, a classification of the soil so that facilities will accept it.
I'm not gonna lie, it makes me a little bit sad to say goodbye to Testa Field. Lots of fun games played there.
Well, the new school, the field will be very impressive at the new school. So something to look
Not
forward
goodbye,
to.
Kara. It's hello to the future.
Yeah, it's
Yes, but don't forget my son played on that field for 4 years.
Oh, right.
So yeah, it's a little bittersweet, Colin. It's a little personal.
I understand.
Yeah,
there's
it's all good.
definitely there's always some growing pains, but at
Yeah,
the end of the day, I think everyone will be very happy with the new facility.
okay.
And that's really all I have to share with everyone this evening.
All right, great. Well, any questions, team, for Dan?
That's perfect timing for me because I have to run off to another meeting. So thank you so much, Dan. Appreciate it.
I'm glad I made it back in time.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Ashley, any questions or comments?
No,
You good?
good. It's
All
exciting.
right,
All really exciting.
agreed. All right, well then motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Great.